Namaste and a very good morning. So I have on screen Katrina. I hope I am audible. You can let me know. I am Shubham and we have been conducting here a yoga anatomy and the physiology session for the 200 hours yoga teacher training from the Himalayan Yoga Association. Good morning, Katrina. I hope I am audible. Am I? I cannot see your chat, but you can unmute yourself and you can speak. I'm
Yes, I
using
can
the
hear you. Yeah,
Yes, you can all hear
Yeah.
me.
I can hear you. If I start my video, it goes too slow.
Okay, no problem. So I want to ask you a question, like, are you doing a 200-hour course?
I'm doing at the moment, the 100, and then when I can afford to, I will do the other 100, so that I've done the 200.
Okay, so we will see about the 200 hours in the morning session. I was just curious because there are some students who are doing 300 hours as well, but those students join early in the morning where I conduct 200 hours, and in the afternoon we have 300 hours. So I was just asking you, so you should join the right session. So you are on the right
Yep.
session. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Would like to ask you, you joining from Rishikesh or Bali or from where you belong, Katrina?
I'm actually I'm in New Zealand.
Okay, so you're in New Zealand. Okay. So for you, it's afternoon, maybe in New Zealand.
It's 3 p.m. here.
It's 3 p.m. there. Okay. So we will start with the session, and before we start, we have to chant a prayer, opening prayer, and an Om chant, the first sound from the universe, and we will see with the session again. You can now mute yourself, and anytime if you have any queries or questions, just raise your hand or unmute yourself and can speak frankly or ask anything about our anatomy to me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I would like to chant a prayer before we begin with the session. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. We will chant Om one time. Inhale. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you so much, people. And we have a Katrina now on screen. And for the rest of the people who have been missing this class, this session is been recorded, and you can watch this session on YouTube, which will be provided by the management of the Himalayan Yoga Association. So yesterday we have been watching, or we have been studying about, or we have just started the introductory part of yoga anatomy and physiology, where I told you about what is anatomy, what is physiology, what is the difference between anatomy and yoga anatomy. Here in this course, a yoga teacher training, we have been studying about the yoga anatomy and not only about the anatomical body systems, as well as we are not here to become a doctor, but we are here to become a professional yoga teacher who should have the basic and advanced or intermediate knowledge about some parts and the structure of the human body and some basic functions of the human body while we perform yoga. That means while we perform any kind of asana, pranayama, cleansing technique, or meditation. Not only about asana, we will be studying here. So simultaneously, I told you that in the yesterday session we will be studying about some human body systems later in our coming classes. Apart from that, we will be studying simultaneously about the therapy. Therapies in the sense I will be talking about some important postures for some disease and disorder. You will be learning some therapy topics from your teacher as well. We have a different teacher in the Himalayan Yoga Association. But the therapy related with the systems which you will study here, that we will also learn. In the yesterday session again, what we studied about the type of anatomy and physiology. So as an anatomy, we have the two types of anatomy. Here we have the gross anatomy and we have the microscopic anatomy. The gross anatomy is what where we do not require a microscope to study the structure and the parts of the human body is known to be as the gross anatomy, which is subdivided into three. That is the surface anatomy. That means the structure and the parts of the body on the surface of the human body we can study. The next is the regional anatomy. That means the specific regions of the human body. What are the specific regions of the human body? Our human body here divided into the five sections. The section number one is like our head section, so specific region. The section two is our neck section. The section number three is our trunk. Our trunk means the region in the regional anatomy. That means the section below our neck and up till our waist or until our pelvic. So in that whole trunk region, what belongs? We have a torso in the front, abdomen in the below portion, and at the back, at the dorsal side. So front side is known as the ventral side. The back side, the posterior side is to be known as the dorsal side. We have the upper back and lower back. So torso, abdomen, upper back and lower back is known to be as a trunk, the region of the trunk. So in that regional anatomy, we have these regions, upper limbs and lower limbs. So we study this anatomy in the specific regions. So we have surface anatomy, we have regional anatomy, and the third one, we have the systemic anatomy. Systemic anatomy means the human bodily systems, that means of our organs. The human body system is made up of the specific sets of organs. So when a group of organs are being made, that group of organs functions together, which makes our human systems. That means our skeletal system made up of the bones, muscular systems made up of the muscles, digestive system made up of the some organs. We will see today about some organs as well. Respiratory system, endocrine system, lymphatic system, cardiovascular system. So all these are under the systemic anatomy. So in the main type gross anatomy, we have these three subtypes. That means our surface anatomy, our regional anatomy, our systemic anatomy. Then the second type of anatomy is to be known as the microscopic anatomy, and microscopic anatomy also has some subtypes. So gross anatomy and microscopic anatomy are the two types. Microscopic anatomy, which requires a microscope here to study the structure and the functions of our parts and the organs, or the structures and the parts of our human body. In those microscopic anatomy, what do we have? We have seen yesterday, you will find in our channel as well. We have seen the flow chart. So under this microscopic anatomy, we have cytology, that means the study of the cells, and we have the histology, that means the study of the tissues. So what is this? The cells and the tissues that we are going to be learning here. We will start with the microscopic anatomy, and we will see slowly the organ anatomy as well, along with human body system, and what are some disease and disorders related with them, where a yoga practice can help to cure those form of disease and disorders that we will be learning in your course. I hope I am audible clearly and the whiteboard is being visible. So today, in our yoga anatomy session, is the whiteboard visible for you, Katrina?
Yes, it's fine. I can see it.
Okay. So we will be just, whatever I am been writing, it should be visible for you on the whiteboard. I hope.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Would like to ask you some question, Katrina. Have you done any practice of yoga before?
I have. I've been doing yoga on and off since I was a child, so just over 30 years. That's
Okay.
my preferred form of exercise. And then physiotherapy with different injuries, and it's always, I view it all as a form of yoga. Because I find when I start movement, I go into a meditative state as well. So it's, I'm aware of my body and where it is. But I've never really studied anatomy in any depth. It's just intuition, really.
Yeah, just a couple of introduction here from the anatomy side, just couple of days. Then you will start with the bodily systems as well. I'm happy that you have been practicing since childhood. Same like me, even I have been practicing since childhood, as my mom is my yoga guru. From my mom, she's been teaching from last 40-50 years, been learning all the practices. So here, whatever the topics, I'm not here only for the yoga anatomy, even if I will be teaching you yoga anatomy, but the rest of all the subjects with all the topics I have been teaching in the last 10 years. Just for you, or for your course, for your batch, I will be leading with yoga anatomy.
Okay.
Now, in short, we will study about the cells, tissues, and organs. So, the smallest element of the human body. What are the smallest element of the human body known as cells? Also, the cells are to be known as the building blocks of the human body. So, a smallest element in human body is known as cell. Here, the cells are also known as the building blocks of the human body. That means without a cell, the human body is nothing. Our human body is made up of this number of cells. How many number of cells are there in our human body? Can you guess, Katrina? We have
billions,
billions of cells or trillions of cells. Yes, per maximum or on an average 10 to 15 trillions of cells are being present in our human body. And what do these cells require to survive? How does they survive? They do survive.
Food, exercise.
Yes, on the food, on the exercise, and the oxygen. So whatever exercise we do, from that exercise, following the diet, so the diet or whatever the nutrition from the food we get, that is being required for these cells to survive. Along with the pranayama or the breathing techniques, it is much essential for the cells to survive, or the flow of oxygen required for the cells to survive. If there is no oxygen, the cell dies. If the cell dies, the human body will die.
Yeah.
Similarly, we have some nutrients as well present in the food which requires the cell. These cells, the number of cells like 10 to 15 trillions in our body, all these cells have the proper functioning. In short, a diagrammatic representation, if we can see of the cell here is our cell membrane, the outer covering of the cell. Inside the cell membrane, we have the nucleus. We will not see all the details about the cells, but just in short, a rough idea we should get what exactly a cell is. And here in between the nucleus and the cell membrane inside a layer, we have our cell cytoplasm. This is to be known as cytoplasm. What is the cytoplasm? A fluid membrane. Yes?
Yeah.
A fluid membrane which contains our biomolecules. Biomolecules like our proteins, our nutrients, our carbs, fats, or minerals are being present in our cytoplasm as well. It contains our biomolecules here in between the cell membrane and the nucleus. The function. And what is the role of the nucleus here of the cell? Yes, inside the cell we have the nucleus, we can see. In between the nucleus and membrane, we have the cytoplasm, which contains the biomolecules. To break down these biomolecules, we have many different Golgi. We have different things inside as well in the cytoplasm. For example, we can show here also lysosome. These lysosomes inside the cytoplasm has the function to break down these biomolecules. These lysosomes contain the hydrolytic enzymes. These lysosomes contain the hydrolytic enzymes. Will not write here, maybe it is not visible. Those hydrolytic enzymes are nothing but hydrolytic, which break down the biomolecules present in this hydrolytic membrane, that means in the cytoplasm. To break down this food, to absorb the nutrients which is being required by this nucleus, so the proper functioning of the cell, the nucleus of the cell can split into different cells or can produce more number of cells as well. Inside the nucleus of the cell, we have in the center the chromosome. This is what inside the nucleus we do have the chromosome. The function of the chromosome is to carry our DNA. Our DNA is present here in the center of the chromosome, or the function of this chromosome is to carry the DNA. And what is the role of DNA? Can you tell me, Katrina?
Oh crikey, they make up everything you are.
Yes.
That they basically, your DNA is what makes up your body. It makes your body what it is. It makes your body function.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a little, I look at it like a little pile of brains.
exactly. Exactly like a brain, we have a nucleus here at the center unit of the cell, but inside our DNA, all the hereditary information is stored. All the information, the hereditary information is stored inside our DNA. Each and every human or the person will have the different kind of DNA. And with the help of this DNA, all the functioning of the body will happen. So all the cells reaching to each and every part of the body is what? With the help of this DNA, it will function properly. With the help of this hereditary information, is always stored in our DNA. So this cell looks huge, but it is like without, we cannot see this with our naked eyes. So it lies under the section of microscopic anatomy. This has almost in between 15 trillions of cells on an average adult. We have the 15 trillions of cells in the human body. Similarly, we have these cells. Apart from these cells, we have the tissues, different kinds of tissues. What are those different kinds of tissues? And what is exactly the tissue? First of all, a tissue is nothing but a group of cells. So the group of cells together makes a tissue. In the human body here, we have specific forms and types of tissue. So these cells are 10 to 15 trillions, but each cell connects with the other cell, makes the group of cells together can form a tissue. First of all, before we also see further, I would request you, Katrina, to make sure that you have a paper or a pen, or you have some notes so you can write it down simultaneously what I speak or what is there available on the whiteboard.
Yeah, no, I'm doing that.
Yes, great. So apart from this cells, we will also see the tissues. We'll erase this now. Hopefully you have written down. Okay. May I erase this now?
Yeah, all good.
Now. After the cells, we have the tissues. And what is cells? The tissues? Nothing but the group of cells together forms a tissue. In the human body with the specific regions, we have this group of tissues. What are these group of tissues? We can have the group of tissues like we have muscular tissues. We have nerve tissue. There are many kinds of tissues as well. We have epithelial tissues. Also, we have the connective tissue. Starting with the muscular, nerve, epithelial, and connective tissue, we will see what is the muscular tissue here. Made up of the muscles. So,
All the muscles in the body.
yeah, all the muscles in our body, like more than 650 to 700 muscles in our body, makes up our muscular tissue. Muscular tissues means those muscle cells. We have the specific types of muscles which makes up this tissue. So we have the soft muscles, we have the skeletal muscles, and we have the cardiac muscle, our heart. So these muscle cells which are being grouped together will make up our muscular tissue. Similarly, we have nerve tissue. And what is this nerve tissue? Made up of the number of nerves in our whole body. Simultaneously, we can see or we hear Epithelial tissue. Where do you find mostly the epithelial tissue?
In the blood
In the blood, but
or
more
around the organs?
on the organs as well in the surface of our skin, the epidermis. Here,
Ah,
the epithelial tissue on the glands or in the exocrine system, where the organs on the surface of those organs, we can say our epidermis as a epithelial tissue. And where do we find the connective tissues?
that our muscles holds our muscles, our skin in place, holds our organs in place, all our
Exactly. So
nerves,
we do find
sinews and
in
fibers.
our so we have in our fibers, in our muscles, in our skeletal or in our bones, which holds up our or supports the frame or the structure of our human body. All the connective tissues which connect with our organs make up into our blood, bones, muscles together makes up our connective tissue. So basically we have these four important types of tissues that is being made up of the group of cells. The group of muscular cells made up of muscle tissue, group of nerve cells made up of the nervous tissue, the epithelial and the connective tissue with the specific group of cells. Along with these tissues, we have the organs. So how is this organs made up of? Organs are made up of the group of tissues.
Tissues and cells.
Yeah, tissues and cells made up of organs. So it is very simple in the gross anatomy here. We study about the human body system where we do not require any microscopic study. Here we do require the microscopic study about the tissues, which is also known as the histology. About the study of the cells, it is also known as the cytology. And in the study of the organs here, it comes under the gross anatomy, which is nothing but our systemic anatomy or human body system. So group of cells makes the tissue, whereas the group of tissues makes the organ. Approximately, we would have 78 kinds of organs in our human body. So approximately, we do have this 78 types of organs in our human body made up of this group of tissues.
Okay.
So like these kinds of organs, like it can be considered into the human body system. For example, some of the organs we do find in the endocrine system made up of the glands. Some of the organs we do find in the digestive system made up of the internal organs. So we are not only here talking about the internal organs about the stomach, the large intestine, the small intestine, but also there are some of the organs I will say like there are adrenal glands on the top of the kidneys. We have the anus or which is being used for the excretion process in the digestive system. Appendix is also a part of an organ connected to the large intestine. We do have urinary bladder as an organ. So bones are also the part of the organs. Apart from that, bone marrow, like we have the branches of trachea or windpipe as a part of the lungs. We have the diaphragm as an organ. We have the ears, esophagus, food pipe, gallbladder inside the liver. So all these things we will be studying here with the specific systems. So we have the liver and the gallbladder, and there are some diseases also and disorders also, and there is also a cure and a treatment for the gallbladder which is present inside the liver. So we have these kinds of organs like all the glands, pancreas, thymus gland, thyroid gland, or pituitary gland, the prostate gland, the rectum, the salivary gland. So there are different the teeth, many different organs here. If I could tell you all the 78 organs, it might take more number of time, but so just think like inside our brain, like cerebrum, cerebellum, or medulla oblongata. So with different sections. There is no need to write here all the 78 kinds of organs. So everything which is made up of the tissues, not only for you, but for the rest of the students who will be watching for this video, for those actually a small concept, they should understand what exactly is an organ without thinking as an organ only is our stomach or talking about the internal organs, but they should also know about the external organs. Here we have the Katrina, who has been practicing and knows much things about the yoga, but as a beginner level for the rest of the students, we are going into a small or a slow process about the yoga anatomy. So all this group of tissues made up of the organs. So we have seen today the cells, the tissues, and the specific organs. I have been told approximately try to remember the 78 organs. Approximately, this is also very important to try to remember these 4 kinds of tissues and the basic functioning of the cell. Here we should try to remember. Apart from it, would like to ask Katrina, if we do not study or if we do not know about yoga anatomy and physiology, what would happen? Can you tell me?
We could end up with some.
Yes?
We could end up with some awfully horrible injuries.
Yes. So we can end up with some kind of injury. Maybe it is physical, maybe it is mental, emotional, or psychological. Exactly. Yep. As a yoga teacher, there is must we should learn. But if there are some people whose aim in their life is not to teach in the future as a yoga teacher, but why it is important for them as well to learn some basic things about yoga anatomy.
To prevent injuries to themselves.
To prevent injuries to themselves, or at least they should know how they should live a life. Not only yoga is about injury while they perform asanas, but the way of living or to the way of living a life, they should know. For example, people who practice yoga before meal, it is the right way to practice. But if I will tell you honestly here, we should practice yoga before a meal or on an empty stomach. But there are some problems, many problems with the people in the modern day. So there is a misconception in the people mind thinking themselves that they become a yogi after practicing yoga for 1 day, for 1 month, for 1 year, maybe for 10 years, 20 years, or for 30 years. But nowadays, these modern yogis thinking themselves as a social media yogi actually connect themselves with the traditional real yogi just by practicing handstand and headstand or any balancing postures. They think themselves as a great yogi, but they have some internal injuries or mental health issues or different psychosomatic problems. So as a misconception, we'll not say some things about yogi on the first day. As a human, we should understand that nowadays we have many diseases or disorders here as well in the surroundings. We cannot even breathe the proper form of oxygen outside. We are just wearing the mask. Maybe lifetime we could have, or it is lifetime disease or spread of that virus or any viral infection, or not a fresh oxygen is available nowadays. So whatever diet we follow, whatever practice we do, whatever kind of meditation we do, as a human being, we should just know also all things or basic things about yoga anatomy, which would be not only helpful to practice exercise and to avoid injury, but to live the way of life by controlling our own desire and to reduce our own ego. That is what the most important thing to live a life like a yogi in real, not in the real. Real life is different on the Instagram, but the real life is different as a part of a yogi. That people should take care of it. Applying the things. Here we studied about the cells, tissues, and the organs. We will start with some of the human bodily systems. And before we start, we will have the focus or we will start with the digestive system. Just a short defining the digestive system. We will see it from tomorrow. Today we will define what is the digestive system. Would like to hear from Katrina as we have one student.
It's a system that passes out or processes our food from and excretes it. So digestive system starts with the mouth.
Okay,
Yeah, the whole thing. It's the whole process of processing what we put in our bodies.
Okay, so it is the thing what we put in the body from the mouth. A very good answer from you. Starts from the mouth and from the bottom at the anus. But what happens in between, the most important part in the yoga anatomy that we start to learn from tomorrow. It is mostly to absorb the nutrients what we require from the food. And those nutrients are being required for the cells to survive what we did. If there are no nutrients, not a proper nutrients, the way we eat, the way we live our life, or the way we need to practice before eating, or what if we do not practice on empty stomach, then what we should eat, that is also helpful. So not only like a yogic text, I will say here, reading from the traditional tantric text, not as a modern text. I never read any modern text. As a traditional tantric text, as a yogi, should practice on an empty stomach. But nowadays, so there are some things as a herbal tea or some almonds or some dates, one or two dates is what more essential for a person to survive that kind of practice. What we do in an asana, later in an pranayama. So even if reading from the text and telling you to practice on an empty stomach, it's a one way, but what we apply in the life, that is what the reality we have to teach or we have to say as well, apart from the traditional tantric text, because this practice was used by those traditional yogis, real yogis, who do not had any kind of disease or disorder, not like us in this generation or in this era, who are living in the world of virus or who have many kinds of disease or disorders or stress, or with this help of the technology what we have been doing in the mobile on this specific race. There was a fresh prana, no stress, nothing at that kind, just oxygen and the food. Nowadays, many work, stress, so it is hard to live a healthy life. Some students do complain about how we can practice empty stomach on an ashtanga, that different power yoga, pilates, that many kind of things. So there are each and every body type here we need to follow. What we should apply in the digestive system as well. How should we take care of it? What thing you should eat, that you will also learn in the therapy session. So basically the digestive system was to absorb the nutrients from the food and remove out the waste product. Just the introductory part of the digestive system, but what we learn today, the cells, tissues, and the organs in short. We start from tomorrow. Up till here, if this is clear, let me know what we studied. Is this clear today?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Okay, it was clear, yes?
Yes, yep. The cells,
Okay,
the cells first, the tissues, organs. Yeah,
great.
nucleus.
So we will end the class just by chanting one Om at the end, as we need to chant Om before and after. So let us chant Om one last time to end up this session. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you so much. Why do we chant
Thank
Shanti,
you.
Katrina? Do we
Shanti
know?
is peace.
Yes. So we do chant Shanti as a peace for us all, for the rest of the people around us, our aura, and for the universe. Thank you so much, everyone from the Malayan Yoga Association. I see you all
Thank you.
tomorrow, or see you, Katrina. Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you.